Good afternoon, everybody. This is Mrs. Deering, and I'm here to talk to you today about a book that I just read that I think you're going to absolutely love, and it's called The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. So this book has been on my to-read list for a really, really long time. As soon as it came out earlier in the year, I heard other teachers talking about it, and so I was really excited when I had the opportunity to read this for one of my classes. So when I was preparing to do this book talk, I noticed on a blog that I follow that this book is one of the top 10 challenged books of 2017 according to the NCTE. It was actually number 8. And those of you that have had my class before, those of you that know me, you know that I love controversial books because I think that it makes us have great conversations and really engage into the world. So I was excited to be able to bring some of that to the table, and I'd love to tell you about the book. The protagonist of The Hate You Give is Star Carter. She's a 16-year-old African-American girl who goes to a private school and has to split her life a little bit between her predominantly black community where she lives, where she has friends and interacts, and then her private school where she's one of the few black children that go there. In the very beginning of the book, she encounters a situation in which one of her childhood friends is shot by a police officer, and she is actually in the car and has a gun pointed at her. The whole time during the book, she doesn't refer to the officer by name. She just refers to him as Officer 115, his badge number or his officer number. And so she really has to battle between herself on what would be the right thing to do. She has her family kind of telling her that they support her, whether she wants to make a witness statement or whether she wants to be silent. And then she has to go to school and hear her predominantly white friend group talk about this drug dealer that they heard about on the news who got shot by a cop, and just kind of see the spin on everything that happens. And so throughout the book, we see her really struggle with her identity as far as who she is as a young woman, with her friendships, her boyfriend Chris, who's white, and just her relationship with her parents, her community. And also we see her kind of find herself because the book reveals to us that she actually had lost another friend as well as an adolescent. And so we see her really dealing with grief and trying to find the bravery to do what's right, and even trying to figure out, is there a right response to fear and to hate and to racism. So I don't want to spoil the book for you, but I do want to tell you that many of the characters in this book are very complex, and this book talks a lot about some current events. So I want to give you 3 reasons why I think that this needs to be the next book that you put on your reading list. So giving you 3 reasons why I would think that you would really like this book, I'm going to use the same metaphor as a scholar named Rudine Sims Bishop, who says that literature should become mirrors, windows, and doors to all people. So that's going to guide my recommendations. The first reason why I think people should read The Hate You Give is that every single person can see something in themselves in this book. I think that part of becoming a good person is to be able to see things in yourself, sometimes positively and sometimes negatively, when we read and we identify with other characters. For African American women, many of these girls can see themselves in Star, and to see the struggle of not really knowing exactly where to fit in and looking at loyalty versus acceptance and this fear of what people think. I know for me it's something that I haven't experienced as a white woman growing up in America. However, unfortunately, the characters like Chris and Haley and some of the other white characters in the book, they serve a little bit as a mirror to me. Unfortunately, I can remember being in high school and saying things that I didn't realize were offensive or thinking that I was funny. And, when we see ourselves in these characters, I think that this book is very, very important to reveal things that maybe we didn't know about ourselves. So the second reason I think this is a great book is that it serves as a window into other people's thoughts and perspectives. a lot of what we hear in the news about the Black Lives Matter movement comes from a certain news bias or a news perspective. I think it's really great that this book takes stereotypes, like Khalil being a drug dealer, for example, and opens those stereotypes and exposes them. We find out that Khalil is dealing drugs because his family is starving. They have no money coming in, and it's a last-minute resort with people promising that they're going to take care of him, and that's the only reason that he has drugs in his car. We see multiple moments like this in which something that we think that we understand, or a label that's put on a person, is broken up, and it becomes this much more dynamic, fleshed out character, which helps me me as a reader, not necessarily me as a teacher, helps me as a reader and me as a person to maybe look at what I'm seeing on the news and to look at the way the media portrays police brutality and racism and all of this horrible conflict, and to try to go beyond what I see on the television screen and to look at people more as individuals. And then the last thing that I want to talk about with The Hate U Give is that it serves as a door to social activism. I think I live my life by the code of it's great to complain and great to notice all of the things that are broken in the world, but what are you doing to fix it? And I think that this book provides beautiful, concrete solution and love and compassion and just learning how to listen to others. I think that by embracing those things, that the world can be a much better place, that people are able to find common ground. And I also think that this book encourages us to research some of the things that are going on in our world. I know many of our students only know, or many of you only know, what you see on the news as far as political reform movements, protests, things like that. Investigate, get involved, see if you can figure out your stance and your opinions on the different things going on in the world. So I think that this book is a great catalyst for that. Every student that I've had who's read The Hate U Give has returned this book back to me within 2 days' time and said that they couldn't put it down. These characters are enrapturing, and I absolutely fell in love with this book and the ideas in it. I think it's such an important book to help us engage in the conversation that's happening in our world right now. So all in all, I would highly recommend the young adult fiction novel, The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas.